Welcome to Thru the Ringer. I'm your host, Tate Frazier. It is a beautiful holiday week. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. We got a very fun show. Nora is joining us later in the show, but first and foremost, he's back. Cousin Sal, good to see you, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, buddy. You look at me now. I am going to fill this box almost 130% probably by next week with, mashed potatoes, gravy, all of it. It's my favorite day of the year.
It's the best. Honestly, I think it might be my favorite holiday as well. And we're going to eat a lot of food.
Gifts and all sports and all you can eat.
Right.
Check.
Come on. College basketball as well, which is near and dear to my heart. We got a great feast week. So there's a lot that's going on. But first and foremost, we got to start with first Tate, Sal. And I have to, before I get to my actual takes from the weekend, I have to, apologize to you and the wise guys. I came on the show on Sunday and just gave out every wrong pick imaginable. I'm sure Joe House is laughing. He's cackling right now as I gravel back to you guys and say I'm so sorry. So I just wanted to start there and apologize before we get to my first Tate.
You don't ever apologize. That's why we put you on at the end of the show when no one's watching. So
right.
Don't even give it a second thought.
And FanDuel, congratulations. You cashed a lot of checks on my behalf, right. And that's how this works. And let's start with my first take because I was there, and this was my big, bold prediction. I thought the little brother, Jim Harbaugh, was finally going to beat big brother, John Harbaugh, on Monday Night Football. But I hate to say it, Sal, Jim Harbaugh let down all the little brothers out there like myself. He loses this game 0-3. I promised that third time was the charm. The only hope, the silver lining that we can think of is that maybe in the playoffs he was saving something for that, Sal. But little brothers like myself, we're all, a little bit down today because, once again, the big brothers win.
I know. I'm very sorry. Little brothers take a back seat. Look, Jim ran a very flawed campaign. He should have done Joe Rogan's show, and maybe they would have come up on top on Monday. But yeah, little brothers, again, are laughed at. Unfortunately, this is going to be the case until maybe Casey Affleck gets the best of Ben Affleck in a backroom brawl, maybe during some illegal poker game or something. But yeah, not good. Can we bet on that, by the way, the Casey Ben fight?
I think we can. We can make that happen. Yeah. I mean, it's a tale as old as time, Sal. Cain and Abel. It always goes back to the big brother winning, but hopefully Jim Harbaugh will figure it out. Someone that did figure it out, our next first tape, Bryce Young. He looked like the Panthers franchise quarterback, dare I say, the Steph Curry of football, Sal. Did you see this on Sunday, and did you enjoy watching Bryce Young as much as I did?
I can't tell if you're kidding or not. I mean, it's fine. It's great. He's not falling flat on his face. The last two games, he has 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think he's completed passes at a 60% clip.
Looks better.
Bryce Young is Steve Young now. This is what we have here. But honestly, that's all you want as a Panthers fan, him not embarrassing himself and him playing his team into a spot where they cannot afford to take a quarterback in the first round to replace him. So good job by him.
Yeah, it's the job security play for Bryce Young. It is nice to have hope. That's all it is. Hope is a dangerous thing, and for Panthers fans, they just needed to see some signs that maybe the former number 1 pick could be the guy. He looked like it this weekend. Last first tape for you, Sal. Saquon Barkley should be the MVP. I'm saying it. I'm not afraid to say this. In today's times, we have to automatically bend the knee and say the quarterback is going to be the MVP of the league. But in a year about running backs where we've seen Derrick Henry be great and Saquon be great, I feel like Saquon is the one that is the MVP, and I'm willing to stamp it down, and I know Philly fans love to hear that.
Oh, wow. Oh, you're kissing the Philly fans.
Oh, yeah, smart.
Again. I can't
Meanest
believe
fans,
right.
I got to get them on my back.
I have an unpopular take here. I think a quarterback should win it unless Barkley breaks the record. If he gets 2106 plus, he should get it. It's a prestigious mark for an important position. Otherwise, the most important position should get it. That's either Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, the way they're playing. They're the 2 best quarterbacks. I'm not including Mahomes. Mahomes is the best, but those 2 are the best this year. But plus 470 on FanDuel, Tate, if you like it that much, to break the record. He needs 700 yards, 710 yards over 5 or 6 games. I don't know if he plays that last one. It's against the Giants, so he probably will. So Saquon could break the record, or they can give him that other best supporting trophy, offensive player of the year.
Yeah, I think I see it right now. I close my eyes. I see Saquon Barkley breaking the record against the Giants, and John Mara is sitting up there like a vampire. He has not slept in months, and he has to watch Saquon break this record. So there you have it. That's the path forward. But again, my picks are not hitting, so do not take that at plus 470 if you are paying attention
stay away
at all.
From
Stay away. But now let's play my favorite game, Sal, a game that we cannot stay away from. It is over-under reactions. I read you a prompt, and you tell tell me if it's an overreaction, underreaction, a proper reaction. And let's start with the Washington Commanders. I say to you, Sal, the Commanders have the worst kicker placeholder combination since Charlie Brown and Lucy. Over or underreaction?
I'm going to say overreaction. Oh, worse than the Bears, who got their kicks blocked 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
I'll say Bears, Commanders, Charlie Brown, Lucy. That's my win-play show there. But at this point, Tate, I have to think Lucy is doing it on purpose, pulling the ball away.
Yeah,
I really do.
I know.
It's been 71 years she's been doing this. I don't want to cry conspiracy like everybody else. The first thing they say. I actually did go into a rabbit hole here and look this up. It is 71 years. At first, she did it as a joke, and then they're like, wow, this works, and the animation is already done, so let's just leave it in there already. And she also said to Charlie early on, a woman's handshake is not binding. So that's probably changed over the years, too. But anyway, I put that third.
I love that you did the deep dive there. And yeah, Lucy, hold the football and let Charlie make a kick for once. Maybe it's going to happen in year 72. We'll see what happens.
Lucy was signed to a 10-day contract by the Bears, so it's all set.
Hey, it's going to work. I can see the vision. Next up, Sal, let's talk about the Cowboys. Your Cowboy.
No, Cal, somebody else.
Cal together. Maybe California football. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. But the Cowboys, Sal, team near and dear to your heart, I say they should sign former Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Over or under reaction? Your thoughts?
I think it's an overreaction. I do think it would be very funny if Jerry Jones introduced Daniel Jones as his illegitimate son.
Yes.
Like, this is my illegitimate son. I had a one-night stand with Miss North Carolina in 1995 and back behind the dumpster at Bojangles. And, so here he is.
This is a movie.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's my son. Be nice to him. He'll be the quarterback until our billion-dollar signal caller gets back. So, but overreaction in general.
Yeah, keeping up with the Joneses coming to theater soon. That'll be a good one. Yeah. Next up, Sal, the Cardinals will be the only NFC West team to make the playoffs. This has been a division. A lot of people scratching and clawing here. Over or underreaction? Your thoughts on the Cards making the playoffs?
I'm going to go overreaction, but this is where you shouldn't listen to me at all because I flip-flop on this division every week, and I think they are favored right now at plus 155 to take it. I think the Rams still might have the best value at plus 450, even though they didn't really look too solid on Sunday night. This is going to come down to Week 18. I'm almost sure of it, which is good because all the other divisions, if you look at it, will likely be decided. So we at least need one to stare at and try to figure out. Yeah,
I went on the show yesterday and I said the Rams at plus 490. So, Sal, I'm knocking on wood, crossing my fingers. That will be something in the future that maybe will make me look smart, but probably not. Next up, the Chicago Bears are the NFL's most cursed franchise. You told this to our boss, Bill Simmons, on Sunday night on Guess the Lines. Over or under reaction? Do you believe this?
Yeah, I mean, I believe if I told Bill Simmons, I would never lie to him.
That's
so
true.
I think under reaction, I mean, the Hail Mary, the blocked field goals, the Jay Cutler DUI. What more do we have to say here? Like, this is until a Kardashian starts dating Caleb Williams, let's just stamp it solid right there on the biggest hex in sports. Chicago Bears, so sad.
And if you're Chicago, I mean, you just own it at this point. You know what I mean? That's just who you are, and maybe that can embolden you in the future. Obviously, they've done it with the Cubs. Maybe they can do it with the Bears. Next up, Sal, the coach who wins the NFC North will win the Coach of the Year this season. Obviously, we got a showdown, the Vikings, the Lions. Your thoughts, over or under reaction here?
I'm going to say underreaction. It should be Eberflus, though. He's so entertaining. I know it won't be if they give it to, they really probably won't give it to the fourth place team in the NFC North, but there's a lot of movement towards Dan Campbell. He's the favorite at plus 175. And I know Kevin O'Connell would like to win this award, but this comes down to record, but also who helps himself out more than Dan Campbell with these post-game press conferences, right? Mm-hmm. Not even press conferences, just these speeches he's making to the team in the locker room. They're like Braveheart-esque. They really are soliloquies like none other. Kevin O'Connell needs to take his shirt off, do some kind of dance, and like a Viennese waltz, and just make some noise so that he can get back in the running. But until then, it's all Dan Campbell.
Yeah, it does feel like Dan Campbell was meant for like a Gladiator 2 promo spinoff. You know what I mean? Every single time they cut to him in the locker room.
He's auditioning.
Yeah, he's got it ready. Next up, Sal, there's no greater insult than the opposing quarterback doing your signature touchdown celebration. Over under reaction. What say you?
I think it's an underreaction. We saw Baker Mayfield. You're talking about him with Tommy Cutlets and doing the hand gesture. I didn't even know Baker was Italian.
He said it was out of respect with a little bit of a wink after the game.
Nobody respects Tommy DeVito. Come on. Certainly not Baker Mayfield. But, this is the problem with having like a catchphrase or some kind of motion or some kind of celebration. I mean, when Michael Jordan did the finger wag to the late, great Dikembe Mutombo, he stole his manhood at that very moment, and it was very, very sad. So just be careful what you wish for here.
Yeah, it can come back to bite you very quickly. Speaking of things that can come back to bite you, the SEC pundits, they are out and about, Sal, and they were talking about how many teams they should have in the playoffs. The SEC, Sal, will have under 3.5 teams in the college football playoffs. Over or under reaction? What say you?
Well, I mean, you're basically asking me if I think Texas will beat Texas A&M, because I think Georgia is in, I think Tennessee is in, right? And I think Texas is in. So, but if Texas A&M wins and they're in the SEC championship game, I think if you're in the SEC championship game and the Big Ten championship game, those 4 teams should definitely be in. Now, the A&M could lose that game and have 4 losses, but I don't know. I just feel like you can't complain if you're a 3-loss team like Alabama or Ole Miss not getting in one of those 7 free slots. I mean, how do you see it?
Well, I'm going to say this. There are going to be a lot of complaining, and there could be some big ramifications between these fan bases. They might have to play another football game, Sal, to settle some of these disputes. We thought 12 would solve all these issues. In fact, it's made even more issues, but I will say this. The SEC, they know how to work the PR of this whole thing. Greg Sankey is making the calls, so it does feel like the SEC is going to have at least 3 teams, and who knows, they might talk us into 4. So
let me ask you this: what if this was last year and you could only pick 4? What do? You go Ohio State, you go Oregon, you go whoever wins the SEC championship,
right?
And then what happens? Does the ACC get screwed again? Or
yeah, I think that was the precedent that was set last year. It was basically like, you're not invited to the party anymore, right?
Yeah. So it wouldn't even be Iowa State or anyone like that. It would be 2 SEC and 2 Big Ten.
Which is what it is. It's it's a super conference, right? And they're slowly telling us that in real time with some of these decisions that are being made. But I feel bad for Indiana fans and a lot of people talking about them trying to run out the clock and make it look respectable at the end of the game. Yeah, they had to, because look at all the punditry leading into the game.
That's true.
About what they were going to do.
That's
so
true. They'll get in. They'll be all right.
I think they'll be all right. So they're right now looking like they're at the 12th spot. But college football playoffs, kind of a mess. Speaking of messes, Sal, teams should be severely penalized when their fans rush the field prematurely. We keep seeing this. Over or under reaction? Your thoughts?
You know what? I'm going to say underreaction. I kind of think they do. I don't know what they would do. That Stanford Cal game was the greatest with the marching band. There's still like 2 tuba players, I think, in intensive care from that day, even though it was like 45 years ago, whatever it was. But yeah, it's like too many. They're jumping the gun a little too quick, some of these fans. I think they should have security guards with paintball guns waiting for them as they come on, or they're invited to the Monday practice and they have to wear pads and suit up and take some hits.
Yeah, those are great options there, but it is embarrassing to do the premature rush. That is never a good sign, and it also makes for some memorable moments, like you said. Next up, Sal, the Sixers should have traded peak Joel Embiid, MVP Embiid. They should have made the trend sell high. Over or under reaction? Because obviously they can't sell high right now.
Yeah, I don't know if we're selling high on peak Joel Embiid as part of trusting the process goes cleanly on a T-shirt, but I don't know. What they should have done is they should have framed him for a crime in France and let him rot there during the Olympics, because that was the beginning of the end, or maybe the end of the end. At least they could have collected an insurance policy on a broken down man with a pituitary problem.
Yeah, he definitely has injury issues, and I think it's not like he's just sitting around not wanting to play basketball, but it does hurt to watch him play in the Olympics if you're the Sixers, and then he comes back and he can't play for you. That's the frustrating part about all this. And
the Philly fans are so level-headed, though. They'll be fine.
Of course.
However it works out.
Right. They're excited about my Saquon MVP campaign. They're too busy doing that. Last thing, Sal, last one before we get done with my favorite game here on this Thanksgiving weekend. I say to you, turkey is the Tom Hanks of Thanksgiving, and that's all I'm going to say. Over or under reaction? Your thoughts on that?
I have no idea what that means. I can't react. I have no idea.
No,
what that
you
means
have to tell me over or under reaction or proper reaction. Tom
like
Hanks.
a turkey, Tom Hanks is great.
Yeah.
Maybe better fried. I don't know. What does it mean? You want to reach into his rectum and pull out stuffing? I don't even know what this means.
I'm just saying you need the turkey to make Thanksgiving work, just like you need Tom Hanks to be the leading man of the movie to make it work. But at the end of the day, there's the other things that end up being kind of the stars, the fixins, right? The sides, you know what I mean? The pies. I mean, look at the movies, the box of chocolate, Wilson. These are the stars of the movie. It's not just Tom Hanks, but we couldn't be there.
Crazy.
We couldn't get there without the turkey.
What you're going to go after Johnny Carson and the Beatles next too?
Yeah.
It's the drumsticks that make Ringo?
Be nothing without Ed McMahon, okay?
You're a lunatic.
You need the fixins. You need the sides. Overreaction. Turkey, Tom Hanks. You are connected forever after this. Let's call up the captain. Let's do some prop culture, Sal. We got a fun question this week for Thanksgiving, and the question is a simple one from the captain. Which sports figure are you most thankful for this year? And we got the odds right here, Sal. Shohei Ohtani is the favorite at 3-1. Caitlin Clark is right behind him, 5-1. Jason Tatum, 10-1. Sidney Thomas, if you don't know who that is the Tyson Paul ring girl at 25-1. And the field, big swing for her. Field, even odds, Sal. What say you?
Well, I'm going to go. I had to think about this for a while, but I'm going to go with the great Juan Soto, who took less money to join the Polar Bear, Pete Alonso, and Grimace, and Hawk Tua, and OMG, and the New York Mets. And if that doesn't happen, to hell with him. I hate him, and I would have to go with my favorite sports personality. Now, AJ and Big Justice for their incredible run during AEW event last week. I mean, Big Justice hitting that spear, that was something else. And AJ persevered through a broken foot, won that match. And these are the Costco guys, if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And they will be working at Costco handing out samples in 2028. But for now, five booms for those guys.
Yeah, 5 booms for me as well. So 10 booms in total. We will save you the time from doing all those booms. But shout out to the Costco guys. They got NFL players doing the celebration, college basketball players doing the celebration, doing the dance. So they have come out of nowhere. We don't know how this is happening, but I think you're right, Sal. We should be thankful for them. Our whole families now can show these videos to each other and say, what even is this? And we can all come together.
My wife hates it. She hates it so much. She hates me for sending them.
You got to have the common enemy. I love that.
Right.
I'll take Caitlin Clark at 5-1. Why not? Caitlin Clark's been great, and she's had a great year. So I'll take her at 5-1 just for the odds there. But Shohei's an easy answer. The Costco guys is what Sal's going to go with, and the prop culture, the captain, makes another magical one for this Thanksgiving. We're thankful for you. Stay tuned. We will be right back on the other side of the break, and we're going to do some track to the futures and some line look aheads with Cousin Sal. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. I'm your host, Tate Frazier. We're here with Cousin Sal, and we got Thanksgiving football. We even have Black Friday football to talk about, Sal.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of football to get to. This has got to be one of your favorite weeks of the year. I mean, it's got to be, if it's not number one, it's at least top 3, right?
It's the best, and, it was great when, Aikman was a quarterback on Thursday for us, or Romo. A Cooper Rush against Tommy DeVito, maybe not the best, but the food is so good, and the company is so good, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, we've had some great moments on Thanksgiving, too. We've had the butt fumble, right? That was a Thanksgiving Day game. You had the clapper, right? Jason Garrett, that's how he ended up being the Cowboys head coach, right? He had that big game where he came in, and I don't even know what he was,
I wouldn't
94?
call that a great moment then, if that's what led to him being the head coach. But the Leon Lett thing, that's it's more turmoil for the Cowboys than good to come out of it. But.
Well, there are some storylines, and obviously they all lead us back to a conversation about the Dallas Cowboys. So let's start there, Sal. Line look ahead. We got the Giants taking on the Cowboys in the Mecca. Hopefully the sun will not be the star on this day. -3.5. The total is at 37.5. Do you think the Cowboys can finally win a game at home, Sal?
Well, either way, the sun is a star on. The sun is a star.
That is true. Yeah,
I'm going to give you an astronomy lesson here in the middle of the show. But no, I'm not looking forward to this after all said and done. I feel we're so bad at home. I feel like I'm going to spit up 3 different kinds of stuffing watching this game. But I will stay away from the 3.5 or whatever, as the Bill Simmons of the world think the Cowboys are going to make a miraculous comeback this season. I'll go with a player prop. Rico Dowdle under 67.5. This number's gone under in 15 of his last 18 games. He averages 36 yards a game over this stretch. I know he had a big one against the Commanders last week, but he's going to jump back to form. He had only 46 yards against the Giants when they played a few weeks ago. Actually, it was probably a month and a half ago. Defense is fresh off a bye. Giants, I'll have to root against my team. What does it matter at this point? I'm going under for Rico.
Yeah, going under for Rico. And Rico was supposed to be the running back that was going to come in here and save the day, Sal. And the fact that you have to bet the under as almost a lock is not a good thing to see. But the good news is that I was looking at some mock drafts for you, Sal, looking for the Cowboys. And Ashton Genty, Boise State running back, it looks like he's mocked at the Cowboys everywhere I'm looking. So maybe you got a running back in the draft. Maybe that's something the Cowboys fans can be pretty-thankful for if the football does not live up to it. Does Tommy DeVito play in this game, Sal? Do you think
I
we
don't
see
know.
him?
He says he's sore. I mean, so what? You get sacked 14 times. Why are you sore? This is football.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. Rico, Barkley, I don't know. I just go back and forth. It really depends on the week.
Yeah. Who could have been the guy? Who knows? That's a conversation for another time. The Giants obviously upset about Saquon as well. So Giants are not going to be motivated in this game. Dallas does need to win a game. So if I were to make a pick, I would take the Cowboys in this one. They do win on Thanksgiving. But as I said at the top of the show, Sal, you don't want to follow me. So maybe that was the final nail in the coffin there. Let's do another line of the look ahead. Let's do the Chicago Bears taking on the Detroit Lions. Lions minus 10.5 in this game. The total at 48.5. Who do you like in this one, Sal, and why?
I mean, I like the Lions all over the place. You know, we praised Dan Campbell in the last segment, and I feel like, you know, he's not going to make the same mistake he made last year. They took the Packers lightly. Remember, that was the first game last week. Everybody had the Lions on money line parlays, and they lost. They blew it. Not the same thing this year. He gets his revenge on Thanksgiving. On Lucy, on Charlie Brown. They win big, but I'm going to go with the player prop here. Jared Goff over 243.5 yards. This hit in 8 of his last 10 games at home where he averaged 280 plus. Sam Darnold just put up 330. So I don't know. It's going to be a long day for Chicago as the spiral continues.
Yeah.
In the Motor City.
Yeah, not going to be good for the Bears, I don't think. And the Lions, it's almost becoming a surefire bet every single week. If you just believe in the Lions and what they've shown us on the field, then, you can follow them to a lot of victories. And that line is a big line, but it looks like, and it seems like they can cover it. Next up, line look ahead, we got the Miami Dolphins taking on the Green Bay Packers. Packers minus 3.5 in this game. Total 47.5. What do you like here, Sal?
I'm going to go Tua to throw an interception. I can't believe that's only minus 120. We know how tough it is. He's allergic to the cold weather. It's supposed to be, he's 0-7 when it's 40 degrees or cooler. This one's supposed to be about 22 degrees. This is the all 22 I need, Tate. 22 degrees. Flurries in the forecast. He tossed a pick in 4 of his last 5 games against top 10 defenses. Packers are 7th in the league with 11 interceptions. They have ball hawking D-backs. And, Tua's in the frigid temperatures. Going to have to probably play from behind. He's going to probably have to throw the ball. He's going to throw an interception, minus 120.
Yeah, I like that minus 120. I also just like the under in this game, Sal. You mentioned the temperature. You mentioned how cold it's going to be. I feel like Miami is going to want to have no parts of that. They're going to want to go eat some Tom Hanks turkey and eat some sides with the family. They don't want to be playing a football game on this frozen tundra in Green Bay. So I'd take the under in this one. And I think Tua right there at minus 120 is a great bet. So this is going to be, of those 3 games on Thanksgiving, Sal, obviously you have your personal interest in the Cowboys, but you probably don't really want to watch them. I mean, is it the Bears Lions? Is that the best game of the day? Or Dolphins? Like I'm trying to figure out which one is kind of the top priority to watch. On Thanksgiving. I
guess Dolphins. Set your alarm. Try to wake up on Thanksgiving before 5 p.m. Pacific. All right, because that's the game to watch until it gets out of hand. If maybe the frigid temperatures are the difference, but at least you got a team that's probably going to make the playoffs in the Packers with a team with their back against the wall, the Dolphins, who have to win at least all but one of their remaining games to make the playoffs. So in that regard, I would think that's the best game.
And this is the image makeover game for the Dolphins. Like if there was ever a time for them to change the perception that everybody that watches football and casually talks about football has about the Miami Dolphins, we're all going to be at home. We're all going to be with our families watching football. And if they win a game in the cold against the Green Bay Packers, it'll probably stay in our minds a little bit longer and maybe change that narrative a little bit. So there's the chance for JJ and all the Miami Dolphins fans out there. Shout out to Ace Ventura for making him a fan. Still one of my favorite stories that I've learned here at the Ringer.
Doesn't take much.
Doesn't take
Kids
much.
are impressionable.
Young kids. Everybody loves Ace Ventura. Next up, Sal, we got FanDuel. They got some Thanksgiving Day specials. If you go to FanDuel Sportsbook right now, you can find these specials. You and I were looking at these before we came on the show to tape. Which one do you like here? And is there something that's really sticking out to you?
Yeah, they have a bunch of good ones, and this one's not a gigantic payout at even odds, but Detroit-Chicago to be the highest scoring Thanksgiving game has good value, and I don't have to tell you about the Lions. We talked about them. They average 33 points a game. All right, the Bears, you watch their games, you're going to have to suffer through some blocked field goals. That takes points off the boards. That's not fun. Probably 3 or 4 of those. But the other games, Giants, Cowboys, 2 quarterbacks that don't even belong in like the 5th XFL reboot. And then, like you said, that Packers-Dolphins game, you know, I bet that Tua is going to have to throw from behind and throw an interception. But the Packers have the running game going. Nobody's going to really want to air it out. If it is raining, if there is precipitation that is supposed to be, either way, cold weather, playing in Anchorage, Alaska, lots of running. So Lions, Bears, I think highest scoring, plus 100. And also you'll get your score, and then you could just, you know what has to be beat the rest of the day. So it's fun.
I like that, and I like the odds there at plus 100. It does make the most sense being able to play in that dome in Detroit, and obviously Detroit's offense is on fire. In Chicago, they got some firepower there. Keenan Allen's turning things around, so I like that pick, Sal. I'm going to take this one, a long shot, but piggybacking off what you said, any quarterback to throw for 450 or more yards is plus 10,000. And I think the guy that's going to do that is Jared Goff. I think he's going to have a huge Thanksgiving Day. I think he's going to try to send a message to everybody that, hey, I should be in this conversation. We are real Super Bowl contenders. St. Brown has a big game. So I think Detroit does this. They score, let's say 5 touchdowns. And I think, Jared Goff airs this thing out and gets over 500 yards. So plus 10,000, you can make some money, Sal, for the whole family.
Why not? I have Goff over, as you saw his yards, and if he doesn't come through, you got Cooper Rush, man. He might, he'll either get there or be like 280 yards short.
Oh, man. I'm just hoping Daniel Jones runs out of there on the field with the Dallas star on his helmet. That would be great.
Daniel. There he goes.
I always knew he'd be our quarterback. That'd be great. We'll see what happens. We got some college football upset specials. Last week, I was banned from making a pick. I did end up making a pick, which technically hit. So, yeah, that was good. Shout out to Boston College. Picked against my heart, so that was always fun. Who do you like this week, Sal, in college football?
Yeah, I had the Gators last week. They pulled off the big upset. Northwestern this week, my God, they couldn't have looked worse against Michigan, right? They lost by like 109 points or something crazy. Plus 240 this week against Illinois. This is at Wrigley Field, Tate. Wildcats, like I said, 50-6 to Michigan. Everyone's got them marked as dead. I like that Illinois. I like that Altmaier. But they give up points. They allowed 31 to Rutgers. So I think this is going to be somewhat of a game. They average 154 allowed on the ground. Northwestern should be able to run against them. Coach Braun gets it done. Like I said, at Wrigley Field, this is plus 235. This would be 5 out of 8 upsets, if I could call it. But if it's not, it's just 4 out of 8, and then it's not worth mentioning.
Well, 5 out of 8 sounds great, and I hope that we get that. Come on, Wildcats. And I'm a sucker for the football game on a baseball field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fun.
Every time you see a Pinstripe Bowl, right? We see it with the Yankees. So that'll be a fun one to watch just from a visual perspective. Even if you don't like football, go check that one out. Sal, I'm going to take a local rivalry game. Obviously, it is rivalry week. We got a lot of good matchups. I'm going to take Kentucky over Louisville. You can get the Wildcats plus 146. Taking on Louisville. This is a classic SEC, ACC showdown. We see a lot of these in this last week. South Carolina, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Kentucky, Louisville is going to be the one I'm focusing on. And you can get, the Wildcats at plus money. There's been some rumblings that there could be a retirement for Coach Stoops. So maybe the Kentucky guys are going to play hard for him and they win this rivalry game. So I like that at plus 146.
Do you just, let me be honest, do you look at the ledger and you see Kentucky versus Louisville and your eyes light up because it's like a basketball matchup? And you're like, wow, this, we're talking football. All right, I'll make it work. Is that what happens? Is that the process?
I think that's part of the experience. You're growing up on Tobacco Road. I do the same thing with Carolina State. It's like basketball, you take Carolina. Football, you take State.
That's right. All right,
just kind of how it works.
As long as it works for you, I love it.
Doesn't work that often, Sal, as you can see by my picks, but we're out here having fun. Let's do a line look ahead here. Clemson or Alabama, better chance to make the playoffs between those two schools. Who do you like, Sal?
I like Clemson. I don't see a way that Alabama makes it, to be honest. They have 3 losses. Clemson Also A&M's on the wait list ahead of Alabama in terms of who gets in there from the conference, the fourth SEC team, if there is one. But Clemson has an easier path at plus 194. They could maybe get in if someone drops out this week, or they can win the ACC championship if Miami loses to Syracuse. Not impossible. Clemson is in that ACC championship game. They could beat SMU. Why not? So very doable. I almost made that my upset pick, but a couple different ways for Dabo's team to sneak in at plus 194.
And in the world of like the arguments where it's like, well, what would the Vegas spread be? Clemson has the talent there in the building to, if you put them on a neutral site, you know what I mean? So we've heard that argument made for Texas quite a bit, right? For, Alabama quite a bit. You could make that same sort of argument for Clemson if you really wanted to, but the ACC doesn't have these people doing that, Sal. But I like that pick for Clemson. I think that they have a path, and the ACC has always been kind of cleared for them to make a run. So I like the Tigers there. Last thing, Sal, before we let you go, the Tate debate. Obviously, we talked about the football that is coming up, some great football games, but I want to point out for everybody out there, if you don't watch college basketball, now is the time to tune in. From the same guy that has begged you for the past couple of weeks to watch this sport, I'm back again, and we got some incredible matchups. Number one team in the country, Kansas, playing Duke. We got Blue Bloods playing. We got the Maui Invitational, which has 4 top 10 teams. My North Carolina Tar Heels, my alma mater, playing out there. We got the Battle for Atlantis later in the week. You got Indiana for, the Mark Cuban, diehard IU fans of the world. You got Gonzaga for the new bloods of the world that like Mark Few and his squad. So we got everything you want in college basketball. We got the future number 1 pick, Cooper Flagg. So Feast Week, it's the best, and I think it's going to be the best viewing experience for a sports fan this week. No shade to the NFL, no shade to anyone on this show that's going to be watching a Cowboys game. But Sal, I'm just telling you, Feast Week is where it's at. That's what you got to watch.
Okay, I feel like this isn't even a debate. You shouted at me for like a minute and a half. And
it's a Stephen A. Smith debate. Right. This is how we do this.
I agree. Well, you don't like Savannah Guthrie on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? You don't want to care about her betting on her blood alcohol content?
I'll call up Harry and see what bets he's got on that.
I agree with you, Tate. I think you'd have an entirely different take on this if Carolina had lost that game to Dayton the other night.
100%.
Whatever,
right.
That's fine. I love the basketball throughout the week. It has taken over since John Madden's departure.
Yeah, shout out to all the college basketball people out there that are trying to promote the sport and the people that are watching these games. They're fun games. We hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. Sal, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving and the whole family gets together and can enjoy some Tom Hanks turkey together. That's going to be great. We appreciate you coming on the show. Where can we find all your amazing work? And then we'll let you go enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Against All Odds, a couple times a week here on Ringer Podcast Network. We have Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend on Friday morning. We'll talk that Black Friday game. And Michael Irvin is on as well as Harry. And the Ringer pregame show. Check that out Sundays, FanDuel TV.
It's the best. We appreciate you coming on the show, Sal, as always. And stay tuned. When we're back, we'll have Nora Princiotti joining us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. I am still your host, Tate Frazier, and joining us now, she is back on the show. She is the Ringer's very own Nora Princiotti. Nora, great to see you. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Tate. It's great to see you as well, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun week. We got a lot of football happening. We even got Black Friday football. That's going to be fun. If you don't enjoy Thanksgiving football, you have another helping on Friday for the leftovers. We got a lot to get to, but I want to start with your specialty. Of course, we talk about the Patriots a lot when we have you on the show because you have covered them extensively throughout your career. And our boss, Bill Simmons, this is near and dear to his heart and my heart with Drake May now being QB1 there in New England. What is the future for New England? Like, what is the path forward? Because this past weekend against Miami left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, and now we're talking about the future. The draft pick is going to be high, which is encouraging, but Gerard Mayo specifically, like, what is the path forward for him?
Well, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Okay.
I think, Mayo is the hand-picked coach of Robert Kraft. I think you can quibble with, I certainly do, the implementing of a succession plan long before Bill Belichick was fired or mutually agreed to part ways. The buck stops with Mayo, but when I watch them, what I see more than like a particularly bad head coaching job is you've got a new head coach who didn't have a lot of experience as a coordinator, really either. Then you've got a really inexperienced guy in DeMarcus Covington dealing with the defense. Don't forget that you lost the other Belichick's with Bill too, who were working with those guys a lot. Van Pelt on the offensive side of the ball just hasn't really been great,
No.
other than outside of the main thing, which is the development of Drake May. So I don't want to take that away from him. But you just put it all together and you look at this incredibly inexperienced coaching staff. Is there someone with more experience just like running an organization, running either an offense or defensive unit that we can bring in to help Mayo?
Yeah, is that priority number one? I mean, obviously you're going to have a lot of cap space. You're going to have a high draft pick. You want to get an offensive line to help protect your number one asset, which is Drake May. But do you think, like, as far as our priority list, number one is let's get some experience on the coaching side to help assuage some of these issues with Mayo? Or is it let's go get, the best tackle that's on the market or the best whoever on the market? You know what I mean?
So I think the roster is a bigger issue than the coaching. It's just harder to solve. And I know that they have overhauled some of how they do their scouting. They've adopted a little bit more of a Green Bay style that they were hoping would bring them more in line with league-wide draft boards, when historically under Belichick, often you'd see the Patriots make these weird picks and they were outliers like that in how they scouted. So they're going to try to not do that. If they succeed, if they have a great draft class, if they have a great free agency, that's going to go, I think, a much longer way than anything with the coaching staff. It's just, we know that some of that is kind of a crapshoot, and we also know that it's an area in which they have struggled.
Yeah, and the team that they faced on Sunday has pretty much the opposite vibes of what we see with the Patriots. The Patriots have a lot of questions, and we can get into the deluge of that, and you and I will probably do that on this show plenty of times. But I do want to talk about the Miami Dolphins because they are trending in the right direction. Tua might be the MVP when you really think about the value that he has when he actually plays for Miami versus when he doesn't play for Miami, if we take it very literally. They're playing good football. They got a big matchup Thursday night against the Packers. Are they the type of team that we would label a sleeper as we get closer to the playoffs? And can they actually make a run with Tua under center?
Yeah, I mean, can they make a playoff run? Let's put that aside for a minute. Can they make the playoffs? The only thing I want to say is that it is supposed to be 10 degrees in Green Bay on Thursday. And so I'm really worried that we're going to sit here and we're going to hype this guy up. And I think he deserves it. I think they've been really impressive. And then they're going to come out and it's going to be super cold and we're going to look silly.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when it's 40 degrees, it's already trending in a bad direction. And if we get down to 10 degrees, like you said, the Miami Dolphins do not like to play in cold weather. We all know this. Even Miami, the Dolphins team themselves feels like they also know this truth. So, yeah, we don't want to overhype them too much, but good point there. They got 4 out of the last 6 games are against teams with losing records down the stretch. So there is a path to the playoffs. It might not be with a win in Green Bay because of the temperature, but it is trending in the right direction. And the Dolphins, I mean, they were kind of a joke at, we go look back to like week 4, week 5, week 6 territory. People were calling Mike McDaniel all types of nicknames and all types of stuff. So the Dolphins, kudos to them for turning things around. A team that did not turn things around, Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. It does feel like we are trending in the direction of an amicable split. I feel like irreconcilable differences, whatever that phrase is. I don't know what the term is, but they are going to part ways eventually. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Where will he play next year? And your thoughts on just kind of how this all unraveled over the past month or so?
Well, to me, honestly, the question is a little bit more if he'll play next year than where he'll play next year.
Oof.
I don't want to overclaim my ability to get inside Aaron Rodgers' head, right? None of us, none of us can do that, and maybe we wouldn't want to. But I just have an inkling that he will want to keep playing. But even given that, I wonder what the list of teams that are going to be interested is going to look like. And I wonder if he found himself in a situation where, you're waiting for the training camp injury or the desperate team to bring in as a bridge quarterback for a year. I can see him being willing to do that, but I can also see There just not being a lot of options, not a lot of options that he's excited about. Maybe he doesn't like the location, something like that. So I think there are a lot of things in the way of this, but I suppose he's still Aaron Rodgers. A lot of teams sign a lot of quarterbacks. I do think it matters that he's shown us over the last couple of years that he's willing to. I don't think it's about the money for him at this point. So maybe that helps him find a place where he could sign. But you got to think about the amount of baggage that guy's going to go into an organization with, right? Where any general manager has to ask themselves, how much control does he think he's going to get? Just where is he physically at this point? And is it worth it for all of the attention and some of the extracurricular stuff that comes with it? So I don't know. I'm curious to see. I definitely agree with you. It will not be with the Jets. The Jets are at a completely different place in sort of their organizational arc. But I do wonder if he'll be able to find another spot.
And I wonder if he's going to be another quarterback that comes to the side of the media, because we do have a lot of those that make that transition. We have the Manning brothers obviously doing the Manning cast. We have Tom Brady, who's now the #1 team with Burkhardt. There's a lot of quarterbacks in media. And maybe Aaron Rodgers says, I can start a podcast, which...
We know he's a fan of podcasting.
Right. A lot of people have had that thought, and a lot of people have made that decision. I want everybody to make the decision to stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we got more NFL talk with Norris, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Thru the Ringer. We're here with Nora, and we are trying to make sense of what's happening in the NFL. And let's talk about a guy who's making a lot happen on the football field. That, of course, is Saquon Barkley, Philadelphia Eagles running back. He is looking like the MVP, and it leads me to my next question, Nora. A simple one. Is Saquon Barkley the MVP?
I know Saquon Barkley had a great game on Sunday. We're really riding high off that performance. 302 total yards, 2 touchdowns. It's big stuff. It is MVP stuff. I'm just gonna ask you, Tate, to go back one week earlier though, and ask yourself, what was the last thing that we saw Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen do? And was it that 27-yard touchdown scramble against the Kansas City Chiefs?
Play of the year
game, one of the games of the season. I'm not there yet on Saquon for MVP, but he's certainly making a case.
Is there a world in which, Nora, where a player that is not a quarterback, that is not, stand under center or in shotgun or whatever formation, can win the MVP in today's NFL? Because it does feel like every single year it is a quarterback conversation. And then, the offensive player of the year is the running back or the wide receiver.
Look, I think it's possible, but I think you need a bad quarterback year. I think Josh Allen, just given what we felt like going into the season where, Diggs is gone, they had the drama with firing the offensive coordinator last season. It really felt like this was going to be kind of a rebuilding year for the Bills, but a year where it was really all on his shoulders. If he keeps playing the way that he's been playing, if they do manage to overtake the Chiefs and be the #1 seed, I don't think you're stopping that guy. I mean, he's never won it. He's come close a couple times. This is a narrative award, and that is quite the narrative.
Yeah, he is. He is all, in a position right now where everybody has all eyes on Josh Allen, and it does feel like this is the offensive player of the year race between Saquon and Derrick Henry. And even though both those guys have had incredible years, you're right. The narrative is saying Josh Allen. Let's have our coronation moment with him as the MVP of the league. Let's talk about the 49ers, because this season has been a lot of people talked about this going into the season, which feels like a way to get ahead of it. A season from hell is the way it's been described. Things have just gone very poorly for this team. 5-6. Brock Purdy has the shoulder injury. Now everyone's talking about the contract. Do you give him the contract? Things like this. So there's just a lot of questions with San Francisco. Your thoughts, because they're not completely out of it, and Kyle Shanahan is a really good coach, but where they stand right now and how they got here this season.
Yeah, look, they're not completely out of it. The NFC West race is really, really tight. They're only a game back.
Crazy.
I do think in particular you're seeing Nick Bosa dealing with some health problems being a really big issue for them, and he could help them. He could get back in there, and I think that could make a difference. That gives them just a little bit of a chance to put together a defensive performance in any game he's there for. That has been what's been missing for them in a lot of the moments when they've struggled. And then statistically, their offense hasn't actually been that bad. And Purdy is apparently going to practice this week. So I think you can see them. I don't think it's totally over in terms of if they could go on a run for it. That said, if they get to the playoffs, I do think, it's such a war of attrition. And it's hard to look at this team. It's hard to look at what this season has been like in San Francisco and feel like even if they did manage to squeak in, they could really go on a playoff run once they got there. And, maybe there's a little bit of a silver lining in that they might exercise a little bit more prudence, a little bit more caution if this year just ends up being totally underwhelming.
Yeah, I would watch out for Kirk Cousins always with Kyle Shanahan. I just want to flag that.
It's a rule. You always got to watch out for Kirk.
Always got to watch out for Kirk Cousins. He's got all types of clauses in these contracts. And, I know Shanahan's been eyeing him for a long time. But Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, who has become a fan favorite, who's been playing good football. And, obviously a contract will be figured out there. You mentioned disappointment. There's another team that has been disappointing. They have not been able to figure out how to win close games. The Washington Commanders. Right now they're at 7-5. They're second in the NFC East, the 7th seed currently, but it is trending the wrong direction. How can the Commanders get back on track?
Well, this happens with Cliff Kingsbury, right? And if they want to get back to what they were doing when they were winning games and looking like a better offense, the thing that they would need to do is get back to having those really impressive performances on early downs, especially on first downs. That is what the bread and butter of these Kingsbury offenses that start hot and then fade is, because defenses figure it out. It's a lot of the quarterback going to his first read. It's a lot of sort of like preordained plays, and he's doing the same thing with Terry McLaurin now, that it's like he's the new DeAndre Hopkins, right? He always lines up in the exact same spot on the vast majority of snaps, vast majority of routes. It's a really limited route tree. And you see defenses start to play tighter and tighter coverage because they just know what's happening. And so what could they do to get back to the better results from earlier in the season? Well, they could give everybody collective amnesia so that they don't know what's in the playbook, or they could find some wrinkle, manage to diversify the offense a little bit, make it, incorporate a little bit more disguise. However, I do feel like I have to say that is the thing that Cliff has always struggled to do, and why this fits this sort of familiar pattern.
Yeah, I like your Men in Black. You hit them with the flash and we all forget all their plays. I think that could be a good method. Maybe, someone in D.C. figures that out. They find somebody that has that technology and they can use that on the rest of the teams in the NFL. But I feel like Kingsbury was trending like he was flying, too close to the sun, and maybe some teams are reaching out about interviews and things like that. Got a little distracted, but hopefully they can get back on track with this team. Nora, you're the best. We appreciate you coming on the show as always. Where can we find all your amazing work, and then we'll let you go enjoy the holiday week and watch a lot of football this weekend?
TheRinger.com, Ringer NFL show, every single album.
Boom. I like it. 1, 2, 3. It hits every single time. Nora, you're the best. Thanks so much for coming on the show, and we will talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Tate.
Once again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. We appreciate you tuning in to Thru the Ringer. Thanks to Cousin Sal. Thanks to Nora for coming on the show. And again, I hope everybody can enjoy the holidays. Watch all the basketball, watch all the football, eat some good food, and we will see you next week here on FanDuel TV.